Hey, big up, big up, big up. Long-haired Yeti in the house with my mate, Op Fuzz. How you doing, Op Fuzz, mate?
I'm doing good. Doing good. You just call me meat with my mate. My
Mate,
meat up fuzz.
mate.
You said, I'm here with my meat up fuzz.
No, mate, I didn't call you mate. Don't worry about that. Big up to Malto. I know he's in the chat. Fuck's sake, I'm going to have to miss this one live. Stuck in work. We'll catch up later. No problem,
Um,
Carl Rossi. Big up to Carl Rossi, the
Here
absolute
goes, man.
legend. We'll watch it later on. Big up to Mama Flossie as well. And also the latest to and add to the Instagram group. It's Kudos.
Mm-hmm.
Good to be back. Fucking international break. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree with that, man.
screw that.
I was just saying to Fuzz, it seems like the season ended and we're waiting for a new season. It's took
Mm,
that long to get through these 2 weeks.
mm,
That's why I'm doing at the start of this. I'm going to do like remember the last football because I won't
mm,
remember a lot of it. I mean, there's certain things that was really memorable, but we'll go
mm.
through that anyway. But yeah, Mama Flossie says big up Yeti and Fuzzy. All right, how you doing, Fuzz?
Yeah, doing all right. As I think it's sort of sharing the sentiment that this international break is. I think it's gotten old now. Let's just get it
Mm,
out of the way. Just throw that in the bin. Especially being English football fans as well. Our country, our national team is stuck playing terrible, shite football
oh
for
well,
a manager who's essentially dead end project. He's not going to take this team anywhere. So it's like,
no,
well,
no,
we're delaying the inevitable where
yeah,
he'll end up getting kicked out
of course
and
we will,
or
of course we
replaced
will.
by someone else who generates a fashion trend. Ultimately, he looks great on the touchline, but what everything else he has to offer in the sense of
Yeah,
football,
yeah. I mean, come
that
on,
ain't good.
1-1 against Macedonia, a bunch of milkmen and plumbers.
Mm,
You know what I mean? I mean, it just says it all, doesn't it? You've got £100 million Declan Rice, you've got £100 million Harry Kane, and
mm,
all you can manage is a 1-1, and it's an own goal anyway.
mm,
I mean, I know some people have said, "Oh, well, we only needed a point." You know how people try and make excuses for when you shit. Oh,
mm.
well, we only needed a point. Yeah, so you actually went out there just to get a point. I don't think so, mate.
Wow,
Don't.
I mean, to be fair, it is probably in Southgate's mind. Oh, we only need to get a point here, guys. Let's be careful with it. Let's be gentle. Let's make sure
Mm,
we get through this and we don't lose this game. It's like everyone else might be looking at him. It's like, why the hell are we playing this way against North Macedonia? Why can't
yeah,
we do what France did to Gibraltar? Why can't
exactly.
we stick double figures past them? Why
Why
can't?
can't we get used to putting the ball in the back of the net, ready for a tournament? You know,
Mm,
and get start looking frightening and all that kind of stuff. I
yeah,
mean, why can't you entertain the fans? There's fans that's in that place that have actually paid to go and what was it in Macedonia?
yeah,
But I think there will still have been a lot of people there. There's still a lot of people watching on the TV, and
mm,
you entertain those people. You don't just go, oh well, we only need a point. So that's all. Well, you just say, well, we don't give a fuck about paying them to go and watch it. So
mm,
we'll just play the same game as what you're playing. But
mm.
anyway, yeah, big. I need to say Big Trouble in Little China then. View from the Cave, episode 4. Don't ask me where Big Trouble in Little China came from, but yeah, this is episode 4, and we're going to go through the games from last week. And the first one for me was hilarious, to be honest. Sorry, kudos, but Wolverhampton 2 and Tottenham 1. I mean, starts off great goal by Brennan Johnson. Thought he's
Mm,
absolutely brilliant. He's got that ability to make, when he plays the pass, he makes the run and he gets in the right
yeah.
positions. So they've got a good acquisition there.
Mm,
They then just kind of go, oh, we've won now. We don't care. We don't care. We've won. We've won this one now. They're not going to do anything. And to
yeah.
be fair, Wolves couldn't hit a fucking car's backside with a banjo. I
Yeah.
mean, they was attacking like crazy, but just could not get the goal.
Mm,
Eventually, towards the end, they just fucking score an absolute belter. To be honest, I mean, the control
mm,
from Sabatia, or whatever
So
it
it's
is.
Sarabia, I think.
Yeah, I know I was going to get it wrong. Sarabia was awesome,
Yeah.
and he deserved that goal. And then they get the second one, I mean, and take all the points. I mean, it was just madness, really. And that was one, in my opinion, that Spurs being under strength now, that
Mm,
should definitely have been a win, or definitely have been some points. How you doing, Taib? You all right, mate? Let's
thanks, man.
get kudos. I'll have to as well, to be honest. We're so predictable. Brandon looks promising, but it's average the rest of the game. That's his only problem. He does tend to slip out of games, and then you got
Mm.
the Dyer effect. What did you think about that Wolverhampton Tottenham?
Yeah, I think with that game that we saw, I predicted this being a 2-1 as well. I
Mm,
was on a prediction show. I said I see this being a 2-1 to Wolves, and if it's
quality.
there is a major collapse or a collapse of any magnitude there, it could end up something like a 3-1. But I just didn't expect it to be one of those where Spurs essentially keep Wolves, for the most part, out of creating some proper opportunities, or with Wolves' shooting. I think a lot of times this season has come back to bite them in the arse, but
Mm,
I think this time around just a bit of persistency, and I think perhaps mentality wise, I think
yeah.
Tottenham a bit tired in the minds and then tired in the legs. One breakaway moment for Wolves to clutch an equalising goal, I think straight away, I think the heads will drop, and then the fact that you've got still a fair chunk of time in added time at the end. I
Yeah.
think if for example Man United is a prime example against Arsenal. There's another game where it's like, well, it's kind of 1-1 until you get to the 90th minute, but you've got
Yeah.
to the biggest amount of time that you have to stay switched on for is that added time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you're one team, if they score in that chunk of added time, straight away you could be on the ropes, and it's like the pitch just opens up for you. The defense opens up, it parts ways, and fantastic pass from Sarabia again to play
Mm.
in Lamina, and fantastic end to the game for Wolves. Crazy atmosphere at the end.
Absolutely. What do you think about all this like extra time that's being given? Because one thing you do notice is a lot of teams are kind of waiting for that extra time bit to actually sort of really get into it. And it's not a bad time to actually really up the gears,
Mm,
and you know what I mean, and try and take it on.
mm,
And the longer the extra time's getting, the more you're kind of seeing that.
mm. I think with the added time, I think we first saw it, I think, in the World Cup, where we saw like ridiculous amounts of added time in first and second halves. And I think that's probably one of the thoughts in mind behind sort of counterplaying the amount of time that the ball spends inactive on the
Mm,
pitch, and it's just trying to be a bit more generous on that on in those respects. But as far as teams' game plans go, you see a lot of teams used to hold on for as long as possible, going into like 3 or 4 minutes of stoppage time. Now these teams are going to have to hold on for 8 to 9, maybe 10 minutes of stoppage time, depends
yeah.
on what happens in the game. And usually, sometimes with games where you've got teams holding on, sometimes those goals get scored in the manner of oh, it's a jammy goal. There's a lot of stop start to try
Mm,
and sort of wind down the clock. But unfortunately, now the added time sort of plays against that. So I think it's one of those where I think teams almost have to go back to the drawing board a bit. If game plan is time centric, you have to go back to the drawing board a little bit and sort of look in a bit finer detail. Well, how we're playing around that, we're gonna have to manage the game in even greater depth now, because if we try and waste time, the referee's just going to add every second that we waste at the end
yeah.
of this half, whether it first or second half.
So you've also got to conserve yourself a little bit more as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Just in case there is going to be. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I watched a lot of it, and I don't know where they find this time from. To be honest, I mean, because when you're sitting watching the game,
Mm.
you don't see that 9 minutes or anything. I mean, it is about time that they did something about the VAR and how long that takes. I
Mm,
mean, that's how long that takes sometimes is bloody shocking.
yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what you think, but I think this was a major, major drop for Spurs. To say some of the other games they've got coming up without the key players, it's a nasty one. Big up Wolf Division fan, Wolf Fang Division even. Big up to you, mate. Welcome in. Make sure you follow Wolfang Division as
Mm,
well. And was it? We are watching more VAR than football. Yeah, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. I mean, it's ridiculous. On to I think the next game was. I think it was all played at the same time, but Arsenal, Burnley.
Mm,
I thought Burnley looked pretty decent, to be fair, going forward. That guy, is it? I can't remember. Number 30, I'll call him, or Dave. But he was really giving Arsenal some problems at the back. He managed to get them a goal,
mm,
and then Arsenal just pretty much turned it on and made sure they won.
yeah.
Silly tackle at the end from Vieira. When I
Mm,
first saw it, I thought, nah, that guy's play acted there. But then when you watch it again on the slow mo, you can see it's stupid, man. It's stood straight on the knee. It's
mm.
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's. And the thing is, I didn't actually catch the highlights for this game, but from what I'd seen, because I was at work at the time of this game being played, from what I'd seen, is that Burnley were trying to make a meal of this game as much as possible for Arsenal. That it wasn't,
Mm,
I think, because a lot of people anticipated this game being um, very much, oh yeah, Arsenal just a yes free hit, easy day out.
yeah,
4
yeah,
nils, 5 nils, 6 nils sort of predictions because, oh, yeah, Vincent Company plays open, stubborn tactics, you get battered everywhere they go if it's a top team. And I think with this one, it's like Burnley in various aspects could have made more out of this game, but I think, again, the quality for Arsenal just edging it. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
a few good performances here and there, especially Leandro Trossard, good performance up top, sturdy defence as well. Um, and I think just overall, Arsenal doing what is necessary, what they needed to do. But Burnley for a moment or two making it look a little bit more interesting. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's what the justified result based off of the balance of play. The justified result came to fruition.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with that. I mean, and I think this putting Trossard up front is a good idea. I'm not sure if he's
Mm,
actually listening to some of the things that's being said. But he is
mm,
doing a lot of the things that's being said, although he still keeps putting that lazy piece of shit beanpole in the game. But he's got to learn from that eventually as well. I
yeah.
don't think many Arsenal fans will be that bothered for Vieira not playing, or apparently his stats are so much more amazing than there was last season. I mean, fucking
Mm,
hell, if they weren't, then there wouldn't be no point, would there really? But
mm.
these people go by stats. I go by, the thing I
The
was
eye
born with. I
test.
was born with eyes, and I can see whether a player's
Mm.
any good or not. So yeah, Wolf says smash the likes. Yeah, cheers for that, man. Smash the likes, subscribe, please. I would really appreciate that. Right, on to your game. Your absolutely amazing performance against Luton Town. I mean, well, I can't say much because I mean
Game
we
of the
got a draw,
season.
but this one was. I watched the highlights. You did actually have a fair few chances from what I
Mm,
saw, but
mm.
could only manage to get a goal from Lindelof. It's only a 1-0, but it's 3 points, and that's what matters at the end of the day. What did you see? Did Anthony do anything great in this game? Does he ever do anything great?
To be honest, no, no, it wasn't anything special from Anthony again, and I think that's one thing that I'm starting to notice more and more. But to be fair, Anthony was a substitute appearance in this game. It started with Rashford on the right, with Garnacho on the left, and it was with Garnacho and Rashford that actually missed quite big chances in that game,
Yeah.
where it's one of those things where you almost say, in hindsight, you make enough chances that if you like, if you're just that bit more clinical and you put them in the back of the net, you're looking at a 3, maybe a 4-0 type score line. And if you see that on the scoreboard, you think, oh well, they're United. Oh, they had a fantastic performance, but just it's probably that sort of difference between Man United winning, a very close knit 1-0 and seemingly battering the opposition,
Yeah.
and with big chances being missed, like what Rashford and Garnacho have done this in that game. It's like, well, it's all well and good that you miss them in this game, but you've got, if it's in a bigger game against the likes of your other top 6 teams, like your Man Cities, your Liverpools, if you're missing a chance like that in that sort of fixture, you don't say, well, thankfully we scored another goal. Well, you're actually,
Yeah.
you can score that goal, but you've conceded about 3 or 4 at the other end.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's those sort of chances, and it's very reoccurring. It's a very reoccurring theme for United, and it's probably one of the biggest frustrating points in analysing Manchester United at the moment. It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
very some specifically big chances, but the players just not having the bottle to actually finish them. It's like with Garnacho, very clear and obvious chance. We watched the Sheffield United game where he had a breakaway moment, and it was a one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and he just completely sent it out for a goal kick, very, very
Yeah.
wide of the post. And it was like just a bit of composure. And
Mm. Yeah.
you've got the
Yeah.
quality, you've got the ability, just compose yourself in those situations.
Definitely.
And I think with Rashford's case, he might have the composure, he might have the technical ability, but I just think his decision making is not good.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, do you see any do you see any light at the end of the tunnel? Do you see anything? Because I mean, it's a building thing, isn't it? I mean, do you see
Yeah,
anything that really makes you think that this could all come round? Big up to Stephen Saw as well. Big up Yeti and all the legends.
yes, man.
Big up to you, man. Always good to see you. And do you actually think? Do you see any light at all?
Well, in terms of like maybe another couple wins on the bounce before you get that inevitable reality bite, but for us, it's a frustrating matter because it's like these problems, they are problems generated from within, and you
Mm.
almost have to do the surgery, this open heart surgery, to figure out, well, if we take this player, that player, that player, that player, that player out, and you stick some other crop of players in there, maybe you get a different generated response, some different
Yeah.
level of
Yeah.
energy, different commitments to managers' game plans. And for me, it's like, because this manager's here with this current crop of players, based off of what the media tells us with these leaks and what people are saying to intermediaries, and then those intermediaries are saying to the media, these guys don't want to put, some of these guys, a contingent in this team, don't want to put in the hard yards for this team. They don't
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
put in the hard yards for this manager. They don't want to do what he says. So for me, it's the inevitable, well, if you can play against these teams where you'd write yourself down as 3 points gained, that's where it matters to you most. Go get the 3 points there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't show good reading if you go up against a team like the top end of the table, like
Mm.
Arsenal's, Man City's, hell, even Tottenham Hotspur, and maybe, just maybe, Chelsea.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Because I
it
mean, you look
looks
at
like they're
Chelsea.
coming round.
Chelsea are looking like they're a team that they want to fight now. So Manchester United, a team that doesn't like fighting for their own cause, it doesn't show for good reading in the weather reports with that with this team. So we've got all sorts of problems at the club, and I think with what we have at the moment, there's no real fix with what we have. There has to be the aid from outside coming in. So I think with the likes of
Yeah.
this footballing structure above, just make the players take their jobs more seriously. You might get somewhat of a response, but then you've got the other players coming from outside in they get the memo with Manchester United. They understand what they're doing here at this club. That's when I think you can start to see things getting pieced together. The big question with that is whether it's Ten Hag is the manager of that, or if there's someone else.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that could go
yeah,
one of two ways. But with what we have at the moment, there's one or two players that perhaps stand out as glimmers of hope. But I think just as the wider the wider spectrum of things is a little bit too much or a little too far gone
yeah.
to say there's much to recover there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of players to be shifted on, in my opinion.
Mm,
they're not gonna come good. They'll probably go somewhere else and do all right. But there seems to be like an underlying thing with Man United. It don't matter what manager you've got, the players tend to rule the roost, and that's
mm,
never a good thing.
yeah.
Stephen Saw says, bro, "Thank you, bro. My apologies, been a bit work and being daft knocked me sideways. Being a bit work and knocked me sideways. Hopefully back to normal. Well, my normal anyway. Yeah, get well, man. I don't know what's happening there, but hope you're doing all right and getting yourself back on your feet. Next game, Crystal Palace 2-3. You know what's really annoying? What I find really annoying, as a football fan, you key in games which you want to watch, and
Mm,
this one, I was thinking, oh, it's going to be 0-0, isn't it? It's got 0-0 written all over it. And it looks
yeah.
like it was a really good game. From what I saw on the highlights, it
Mm,
was a really good high scoring game. Uh,
yeah.
it was just a really good game. And
Mm,
3-2 to Everton, who obviously have now those 3 points they fought for there have gone
mm,
because they've been docked 10 points and
yeah.
dropped into the bottom three. I think you've got them. You got them
Yeah.
this week, yeah. You've
Yeah.
got them this week. We've got them next week at the City Ground.
Mm,
So it's going to be that one's going to be interesting,
yeah.
really.
Yeah.
But I mean, big up to Everton on this result. I mean, Palace getting 2 goals was quite surprising because their goals wasn't really coming that well either. But
Mm,
yeah, it looked like a decent game to me, to be honest.
yeah.
What do you think? What do you think? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, again, decent game. Very, very decent game. Definitely overachieved in expectations, but tell you what, first 5 minutes were quite explosive.
mm,
Mikalenko scoring the first minute, and you got
yeah,
Eze getting a penalty at the other end and scoring in the fifth minute.
yeah,
Um, so very explosive opening minutes to the game, and I think that's probably set the precedent for a lot of fans watching it, saying, "Wow, Jesus Christ! Like both teams have scored, and it's not even been 5 minutes yet."
mm,
And I think it's got that sort of anticipation, and I think the fact that the game finished 3-2, massive result for Everton.
yeah,
Although it's kind of one of those. I suppose it does matter because I mean, even though they got 10 points deduction, they're still got 4 points,
yeah.
and the relegation zone's about. Let's have a quick check. How many points are away from
Well,
the?
Tottenham are under the scope now, aren't they? I
Yeah,
noticed the other day they're under the scope for
yeah,
things that's happened in the past. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, if it's something that a manager's done from the past or a player's done from the past, I
I think
mean, why should they be done that? You
I think
missed
what
it. You missed it at the end of the day. So,
yeah, I think it's one of those things. I think it's something to do with like Jermaine Defoe and agenting.
mm,
Broke a rule there, and that the FA apparently ignored it. So yeah, that's a FA's problem. Um, but yeah, with Everton, 4 points. Luton sat in 17th. They're out of the relegation zone. They're
yeah,
only
yeah,
on 6 points. So technically, Everton, if Luton and Sheffield United respectively lose their games, Everton by far a better goal difference than Burnley.
yeah,
Yeah, it could just take one weekend, and already Everton are back out of the relegation zone. So for me,
yeah.
I'm not worried about Everton. I'm
No,
not
no.
worried. I think it's one of those where I think you see 10 point deductions, you're like, oh my God, we're going to lose my head. Everyone's going to
Mm,
panic. Everyone's going to be panic stations. Be lucky that this has happened to you at the time it has, and think about
yeah,
how many points you still got to play for. you're coming into form and getting good. You're picking up good points on the
That's
board,
right.
home and away. I mean, you've gone to Selhurst Park and beaten Crystal Palace that had more chances, better chance creation than you had, but you
Yeah.
still got the job done. Score 3 goals, concede 2, get out there with the 3 points. So if you're Everton, I think you're looking at this and you're just like, well, take it with a pinch of salt. There's still plenty more games to play.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah.
still quite close. I mean, even Bournemouth are sat on 9 points ahead of them in 16th. So of course, there's a lot of work now to do, and it has stacked the decks against you. But it's not all doom and gloom if you're Everton. There's still a
True.
lot to
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
with, and do you know what? There is there is light at the end of the tunnel for Everton. It's just
Mm.
it's a wake up call, I think, the seeing this action taken against you, or
Yeah.
administrative action taken against you, and I think it's also a wake up call for every other club that might have some dealings
Oh,
that
I
they're
think
aware of.
they're all going to get. I think we're all going to get a deep dive now. I think now they've
Mm,
actually started it, it's just going to keep going like a domino effect, and it's just going to affect all different teams. But where
mm,
Everton's concerned, they've got the best manager. I mean, Sean Dyche is the kind of manager you'd be in the trenches with.
mm,
You know what I mean? He's used to it with
yeah,
managing Burnley
yeah,
and struggling and him trying to get and he builds a fighting team as well, which is something I always respect about him. Just cover this a second, Stephen. So I'm good, bro. Just me and social media don't work. I think I'm down the pub chatting shit, banter, whatever. But I forget we're on YouTube and people from everywhere is potentially watching. Yeah,
mm,
yeah. Well, I mean that's social media is one of them things, man. I mean, I'm very much it's either for you or it's not. I mean,
mm,
at one time I used to read something on social media and didn't agree with it, and I'd go, "No, sorry, that's not," And then you get into an argument, which, to be quite honest, nobody wins.
no,
Even if they stop talking, you still don't win. Your life still goes on. So I just don't see any point in it. So a lot of things I just skate over anyway. I just can't be asked, to
mm,
be honest. Um, Bournemouth, Newcastle, weird one. This was. I was
yeah,
very understrength Newcastle team. Let's
yeah,
just say that we're going to beat on Boxing Day. By the way, sorry, Mama, but very understrength Newcastle team. Look so tired. I've never seen a team look so tired, man. And
mm,
Bournemouth just took advantage of it and did what Bournemouth do. So now with the Everton situation, that's put them in quite a nice position as well. And
yeah,
Bournemouth are a team I'd always be a bit, they can turn it on when they want to, in my opinion, anyway.
mm. Yeah. I think with Bournemouth, it's like when we looked at them last season, it was it was disaster settings for Bournemouth last season, and Gary O'Neill took over. You know, keep a simple project as at the forefront of things,
Mm,
and play every game as it comes. You beat whatever team is in front of you, or play to your best of your abilities, and to work with
yeah,
what you have. Gary O'Neill did a good job at working with what he has. And I think the manager that they've got, I think it's Iriola. I think that's
yeah,
how
it is,
you,
isn't it? Areola or something like that.
yeah, however it is you pronounce his name, Spanish bloke. Um, he's now got to take this Bournemouth team and work or get the best with what finds what best, what way works best with getting this team to play. Not so much pretty football or sexy football as everyone seems to be obsessed about these days, but winning football.
Yeah, yeah.
Something that works from minute 1 to 90. Um, Even if there are a few mistakes, problems here and there, at least if you've got a project and a simple idea in mind, that is like a project for the season shared between manager and players.
Mm,
Everyone pulls their weight and runs their yards, puts their yards in on the pitch and on the training pitch and wherever. That is, it's a collective thing, and
mm.
if everybody in Bournemouth sings from the same hymn sheet, maybe results like beating Newcastle 2-0. Maybe there's other big teams that they will claim the scalps of this season. And why not? Why not, you know,
Yeah,
fancy
but
Bournemouth
yeah,
to get more upsets in this season.
100%. And I
If
think, I don't know about you, but I'd rather have a collective team than a team full of skilled players that
mm,
aren't, pushing in the right direction. If you've got a collective team, you can always make things happen.
mm,
Kudos says, yeah, I argue a lot with the Muppets on the football terrace. Bad habit, definitely bad habit because they're
mm,
just donuts anyway. So I mean, you're
yeah,
never going to get anywhere with them. Mama Flossie, we were awful. Yes, you was. Um, well, you know where to find me if you need to chat. Yeah, same here, Steve. If you need to chat or anything, Long-Haired Yeti on Instagram. You got Mama Flossie on Instagram, and you got Carl Rossi as well. So if you need to chat, you can chat to any of us. You know that. We're here to help people out, not just do the content and everything. It's all about people and looking after people and stuff like that. That's where life's going wrong right now. Nobody gives a fuck about anybody else.
mm,
It's bullshit. But it's the same name on Insta and Facebook. Yeah, absolutely. Right, on to Brighton Sheffield United. I didn't even see this. This is 1-1, which is a nice point for Sheffield, I suppose.
mm,
Brighton seem to be on a little bit of a wobbly part of the minute, but I mean, they're playing us at the weekend, the City Grand, which
mm.
to me's got to be a win. I mean, there's no excuse for me if we don't win that, to be honest with you. I don't care who they are. I think we should be who we are. And we do have quite a good record with them at the City Ground as well. So,
Mm.
I think.
Stubborn old Sheffield United.
Mm,
That they so many games where they clearly show that they're perhaps not Premier League ready,
yeah,
but then
yeah,
they'll go
yeah.
into other games. It's just like, okay, guys, clean slate. Let's try again, and let's be just tough to beat. Let's be tough to break down. And against Brighton, usually they're a team that like to pick teams apart and work some style of football that stretches defenses and use the pockets of space you open up to exploit. But Sheffield United, if you just stay compact, resolute, strong,
Yeah, pretty
get
much.
take
Yeah.
a nick a breakaway goal at some point in the game,
Yeah.
which it was an own goal at the end of the day, but you take anything you get. And
Mm,
Brighton, I mean, with them, they've encountered a big drop off,
yeah.
a pretty major drop off as well, because they took the lead in this game. They took the lead, and the fact is that Sheffield still get a point from that.
And
Um,
away as well.
yeah, so you're thinking, right, Brighton, if they get the early goal, they did, sixth
Mm,
minute. It's just you'd almost put this down to being almost like a training session or that sort of feel to it. But none of that at all. Sheffield United just stubborn, stay in the game, don't concede loads of goals. To be fair, they were dealt an olive branch with Dahoud getting a straight red card, so that's a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
presence in midfield gone. So that might have been, big opportunity there. Oh, thank goodness this happened, because now it opens the game a little bit more for us to express ourselves a bit and construct a few more chances. Rely on the only essentially it wasn't even the shot on goal, but Sheffield United had only the one attempt that was on target that game. So
Yeah, definitely.
was
Definitely.
chances few and far between. Not an awful lot to speak on for both teams either with the attacking departments. Not really a lot to say. I know that Fotheringham had six, believe it was six saves. No, five saves. He made five saves in this game, so five attempts that could been converted into goals, and good goalkeeping performance. Solid. Not special, nothing special. Sometimes that's
No, no, no.
and if
Don't always have to
everyone's
be though, does it? Really? I
and
mean,
and that's the thing.
you know.
Looking at match ratings as well, if based off of perception of what everyone else thinks, supposedly all the ratings are quite even. So no
Mm,
one's been a clear out and out man of the match performer, but
no.
everyone's just been steady Eddie, do your job and just do it well enough. And as a collective, and you should be able to reap the rewards that you get. And they did just that. Of course, it's not a win, but
Mm.
for Sheffield United,
It's a massive point for them to Brighton, to be honest. I mean,
mm,
they haven't been getting a great deal. They got that point where they got the penalty. No, actually, they won, didn't they? They won the last one. Who was they playing the last one? I can't remember, but they got a penalty, and it was never a penalty
it
for
was
me.
the
It was
Wolves.
nowhere
Wolves at
on
home,
this planet.
actually. Mm.
I'm sure they won a game before. I can't remember who it was against, to be honest. But they got a
No.
penalty, and it's nowhere penalty on this planet, to be honest. Um, and well, on to my favourite game of the weekend, West Ham against Forest. Annoying for me, to be honest. Thought we was
Mm.
in control of the game. Thought we had the game at two goals. And again, we proved that we just don't have that ability to shut things down and take a win. We did the same against you guys at Old Trafford, and we did exactly the same thing with West Ham. We
Mm.
just do not have that ability to slow the game down and keep it, and keep that result. We keep going and attacking, which yes, I've said that you want to entertain the fans and all this that and the other, but not to your own detriment. Do you know what I mean? That's
Oh,
where it goes wrong when you're doing it to your own detriment. And I think
yeah.
that's exactly what happened. I thought we played awesome. And even speaking to early doors, a West Ham fan, I
Mm.
mean, even he thought that they was lucky. And
Mm.
it's just a story of the season at the minute. I mean, I'm happy with the way we're going, but we have got to start controlling the midfield when we get in the lead. Just cover these. Stephen Shaw changing his phone. He's got a well, what do you call them? I can't remember what you call them. Where you've got that extra phone for all the drug deals and stuff. I can't remember. Runner or something like that. Isn't it? I don't know. Eli the Reaper, how you doing, mate? Good to see you, man. Think first time seeing you in my chat. Bill, yeah, hope you're doing well, bro. Yeah, I'm doing great, mate. Hope you're doing all right as well.
Thanks, man.
And so, I mean, what do you think about the Forest game?
Well, in terms of this game, I thought that with West Ham, I think it's one of those where you've got two teams that are on an upwards trajectory with
Mm,
league presence, and two managers that have found a groove with their teams. And I think it's just one of those where the paths cross. One just has to prevail. The other one probably, maybe to various misfortunes, will have to take the fall or be the fall guy for us one. And unfortunately, with Nottingham Forest, it was them being the case. But then again,
yeah.
West Ham away was always going to draw up a bit of a more difficult afternoon out.
Yeah,
Um,
should have been a
go-
draw, I think, to be honest, if anything.
I think with again Paqueta early goal, Nottingham Forest. You go concede an early goal. Sometimes you got to watch out for the quick fire second goal.
Yeah,
Usually it's like
yeah.
how United had against you guys.
Mm.
Um,
Football 101, isn't it, really?
yeah, so it's like you stay switched on from the start of the game, and I think it's one of those where I think maybe fortunate to not find yourself conceding any quick second goals in the game. But then eventually, when you do switch on, you do show the quality that Forest has got in their
Yeah,
arsenal, and the fact you've got Awoniyi back in your strike force as well is
yeah.
it's been
Massive.
a big miss. Chris
Mm.
Wood, fair plays to him, has done a good job in holding down the fort, but your key striker, your key player, the guy that offers you the most up top, playing a big part, scoring a goal to equalise the scores just before half time.
Yeah,
And then after that, it's you start from scratch because level scores. Both game plans go back to the drawing boards. You figure out which way to establish the control, and then find the way to get the breakthrough. And then you've got to think about how you want to manage the game after that. I think with Steve Cooper, he for all that's good, he has downsides to his game plans.
definitely.
Maybe he goes too top heavy with one side of the game, gets a goal, but then he goes too far to the other extremities and
Yeah. I agree with you.
sort of
I agree.
swings the momentum of the game a bit too much. And I think it's hard for any team to really control the flow of what your opposition's doing, because then you sort of play, you let them, you play into their domain. So I mean, Alanga scoring the goal to take Forest 2-1 up, it's got to be about game management, because it's not like Forest are at home here. You're away from home at a tough ground against essentially an informed West Ham side.
Yeah.
And with the sort of quality that West Ham have got, I mean, James Ward-Prowse getting 2 assists, assisting Jared Bowen.
Yeah, he's good.
And then,
good player.
And then assisting again Thomas Soucek in the later
well, I mean,
stages of the game.
That at the end for the last goal, you deserve everything you get. To be honest, I mean, you can't fall to sleep on a set piece.
Especially
at the end
James
of the game,
Ward-Prowse,
leaving
a set piece
Soucek.
specialist.
You know what I mean? You just can't do that. If you're going to do things like that, you might as well just pack up and go back to the Championship, because you're just going to get slapped up every time. Stephen Saw says, I don't know if I already had that on the screen. This why I said Forest finished 12th, good season, but not getting too carried away. Tell you what, all I'm bothered about at the minute is when the season ends, we ain't in that bottom 3. That's all I'm bothered about. As long as we're outside of that, no matter whether it's near the bottom 3 or wherever it is, as long as it's outside of that and we stay in the Premier League, we can keep rebuilding and we can keep getting something going. But we have got to sort that midfield issue out, because it looks great at times, and then all of a sudden it seems as soon as we get in the lead, we kind of just go, oh, and it's all right. You can switch off and you can go, right, that's it, game over. That's fine. But you've got to put that into play as well. You can't just switch off and that's it. The midfield's got to stay going. I mean, I think Sangori went off. I think it made a big difference when all that kind of happened. But that's about having strength in depth. So you've got to have the players who can come on and still do a job for you. And I think when we lost them 2 players, to think Murillo, I think he's hamstring now, I think. So he's possibly done, which is a big, big shame, because he's just looking different class. Stephen Saw, again, laughed my arse off. Yeah, on his work phone, but I'm mainly a painter and decorator, so constantly covered in paint. So have a nice phone for appearances. All right, mate. I thought it was one of them rippers or runners or whatever you call them. I don't know. But yeah, so let's stop depressing me and go on to Liverpool and Brentford. I'm quite shocked at this one, actually. I expected this one to be the game of the weekend, to be fair. I thought this one was going to be very high scoring on Brentford's side as well as Liverpool. I thought it was going to be a really interesting game and Liverpool was going to struggle. But basically, Mr. Salah, Superman, Super Salah, he just different class. And their attack is amazing. The thing is with Liverpool, you've got to keep getting at that back line. But if you're not doing that and you're just letting the attack do what they want to do, you're in for an odd day, man. You're in for an odd day. So Brentford get nothing. Liverpool get 3 goals. What do you think of that? I was quite shocked, to be honest.
Also, to be fair, with the way in which both teams played, Brentford, for every good thing that they did, they had that missing something from their performance to really connect the dots. And against Liverpool at Anfield, I mean, Liverpool, they might have scored 3 goals, but they weren't that great.
No,
in that game. They weren't that great whatsoever. And I think with Darwin Núñez, 2 offside goals in the first half is just typical Núñez. But again, Mohamed Salah having to essentially pull the rabbit out of the hat with get the breakthrough, settle things down, and try and sort of work yourself into a rhythm. Get the second goal as well in the second half, and then basically just guarantee the game's completely put to bed. Diogo Jota, supplying that, and then all the subs get made to basically just manage player fitness at the end of it. So I think it feels like with Brentford, perhaps unlucky to not have more impact on that game to really force Liverpool into having to react to what Brentford's what game plan Brentford came with, because they set up to not get beaten. And maybe to nick a goal here or two on the break with Mbomo and Visa on the breaks. But again, I think it's one of those that the setup looks like it should do better than what it actually does. And I think, as far as performance goes, various players did well, but for the most part, everybody else struggling. I think with Liverpool, I think it was Endo committed to a tackle or a challenge that I think he was lucky to get away with not getting a red card. I think that was actually, no, I'm thinking of the Europa League, am I? But
I'll be honest, I can't remember a lot of these, to be fair.
Well, I mean, Endo, I think it was in the Europa League where he was lucky not to get sent off for a studs up challenge onto someone's ankle. But I think Liverpool, fortunate that Brentford just didn't have their shooting boots on. Not great in terms of the accuracy department in the final third, and that's a problem that's come to light. Without Tony, Brentford do in front of goal look a bit toothless. They do well to set themselves up for some good goal scoring opportunities, but just not the conversion that they need. And I think it's unfortunate because Mbomo with Tony in the team almost looks a different beast, different animal.
Absolutely.
I think Visa, I think, is a very hit and miss with his quality.
Started off well, didn't he? And then he's kind of tailoring off a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I think Brentford big time missing Ivan Toney, or someone who's an accurate, clinical striker, does well with the chances he's given, and you miss your chances. It's all well and good to having like tons of goal attempts, but if they're not kept on target, you miss the opportunities. It takes for the other team, even if they have less opportunities than you, they get theirs on target. You're screwed.
And also, as well, you got to take into account that their team is built around Ivan Toney. So all of a sudden, not having him is like a massive thing. It's same with us with Awoniyi. You know what I mean? Our team's built around having Awoniyi, so it's always going to be a massive thing when you lose them kind of players. I mean, and you're going to lose him. Somebody's going to come.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. With the comparison between you and Brentford with the missing of strikers, your first team strikers, I think with you've got a striker that comes in to play the striker's role. But the fact that Thomas Frank is he's trying to adapt this thing where it's like, well, let's play with a front two with inverted wingers playing more like strikers, as opposed to using a striker option to allow width further up the pitch. You're trying to bottleneck the attacking approach and rely on your fullbacks or wingbacks to do a lot of the work for you. The problem is if your wingbacks are too isolated, or there's not the opportunity to double up or work overlaps to spreading the stretching defence, it all counts for naught. And the fact is there's also not really a target man in the centre, so you can't change things up, you can't switch things up, you can't unless you've got a midfielder that commits to playing like a false nine, which Brentford don't really do.
No.
It's all basically primarily based on transition for them. At least with Nottingham Forest, if you're missing a one, you've got another striker where it's like, cool, it might not be quite the same in front of goal, but you can play to some extent the same way that plan A would work with your first team options available. But for Brentford, I think Thomas Frank's switched things up to such a degree. I just don't think it's working out with what he's opting to go with.
Well, I mean, if I remember right, on last Sunday, no, not last Sunday, the Sunday before, Divock Origi actually came on and hit the ball, which was It was a bloody good
Mm.
shot, but he hit the crossbar, if I remember right. I could be wrong, to be fair.
Yeah, I think in fact you've got quite a few striker options that you can play
Well,
around
yeah,
with.
exactly. I think we've recruited really well. I just think we've got to work on that midfield thing to be able to contain a game when we've got it in our hands. I agree, yeah, because of what we're missing in that regard. Costa's moving to top off. I think we'll be solid season points wise. I think we'll be top 10 or just out of it personally. That's what I'm looking at now. But we could have a solid second part of the season. You never know. There is points where, if we get these 6 points against Brighton and Everton, which are both home games, which we should be doing, and then we've got Tottenham after that, who are quite under strength, but that's at White Hart Lane or whatever you call it now. So I mean, to be honest, there's a song we used to sing. We've got the whole world in our hands, and that's what we need to be getting back to. And Cooper needs to understand that basically. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't say keep it compact and and this, that, and the other, but the players sort of do it a different way. I mean, I don't know. I don't know 100% on that, but I do see Cooper getting pretty annoyed at certain things all the time. But it is what it is. Aston Villa 3, Fulham 1. Didn't really see it, I'll be honest. Probably watched the highlights, but I can't remember it. It's 2 weeks ago. And, nothing I didn't expect, to be honest. I thought Villa had beat Fulham anyway. So there's not really any major shocks here. What do you think?
Yeah, same thing. Same thing. It's Fulham don't look like they travel well away from home this season. Look like they're missing something. I know with what's his face, Mitrovic. Yeah, Mitrovic.
Massive loss, mate.
Yeah, I think with Raul Jimenez, it's like again he's with to various extents he is a good Premier League striker, but for some reason it's just not clicking. It's not clicking further up the pitch for them. I mean, Andres Pereira, your central creative option. Sometimes he can be good, sometimes he can be not so good. So I think Willian too inconsistent. I think with Iwobi in the team as well, someone else who I think for a mid-table club can be a good soldier type player for you, but for me, again, it's just if you want to lift off or go to bigger, better things from last season. I don't know if Alex Iwobi is quite your meal ticket in those regards. I think Polinia probably a little bit isolated because one thing Aston Villa's become quite apparent with Aston Villa is that they're quite stacked with talent, especially when they do transition to moving the ball forwards. Options with pacey wingers. You've got pacey striker as well. Good stature with Watkins, so he can also play as your target man. And a lot of midfielders that are great with defensive presence as well as then moving the ball from back to front. Pick the ball up, carry it into the later stages of the pitch, and then got the quality with like Yuri Tillemans.
I like McGinn. I do. I really do like McGinn.
McGinn. I mean, to be fair, he was considered man of the match against Fulham in that game. Got himself a goal as well. So good performance from McGinn, and he was actually playing essentially as a makeshift wide man for the right hand side. But it's like if it's not McGinn that's providing you with an outlet from midfield, it's Douglas Luiz. If Douglas Luiz is
he's
providing
come on
the
a
outlet,
lot,
you've got Kamara. If Kamara's not giving you the outlet, you've got Tillemans. Like the spoiled riches for options in that midfield. Now against big teams, they might not live quite up to the levels of hype. But in this sort of game, it's you could almost just say, well, Aston Villa just too much quality for Fulham to handle. And I think it's probably the case of the way on the balance of play That's probably the moral of the story. So if you've got the better quality and you just go head to head with other teams, more times than not, you'll end up being the better team on the day. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I agree on that. All right, on to the big one. I
mm,
watched this. They're doing a watch along. It's
yeah,
quite a weird result for me. I mean, I think I said it was going to be a win for City easily. But
mm,
I mean, you've got to hand it to Chelsea. I mean, they are
mm,
starting to get things sorted out now, and things are starting to work out for them. I
mm,
mean, got 2 goals from Haaland, who everybody keeps saying's finished and all this, that, and the other. I mean, I lose track of how many people keep saying things like that. That oh, Haaland's lost his touch and all this, that, and the other. It's not. There's
mm,
no way on this planet that's the case. You know what I mean? You
yeah,
got Sterling, who seems to have started doing really well now as well. Nicholas
mm,
Jackson again gets another goal, and Cole Palmer, was that a penalty? I think it was a
yeah,
penalty, wasn't it, Palmer?
yeah,
Yeah, so he gets that goal, and then Silva
mm,
gets a goal as well. The
yeah.
City goals were 2 for Ireland, and I can't find the other one. So yeah,
Kanji in the first half and Rodri in the second half. And I'll tell you what, there's I think it's the sort of Chelsea thing where they just never went away. They never
no,
went away, and I think there might be an element of which, if I think about it, that may be in terms of the reason why Chelsea just go into these big games and they just go into fight. They like even if they concede 4 goals, and I know a lot of people are sort of highlighting us like, but you conceded 4 goals to City. Like, what's that about? Like, but look at where Chelsea are coming from here. They've scored 4 goals against Manchester City. Cool, they've conceded 4 goals, but look at the teams respectively between Pep Guardiola, that's coming off the back of a treble, who's a world beater, who's being rated or ranked as the greatest manager of all time. You've got Pochettino. A lot of people that say, well, look, he's only good for building teams. And to be fair, I do hold that perception. He's good for building teams. As far as track records to actually getting them to the next level to win everything is its own question. It's his own argument. I
mm,
think maybe an heir to fixing the mentality in that Chelsea dressing room. And I think there's still work to do,
yeah,
but he's lifted this Chelsea team off the ground.
definitely,
And
definitely building, and it was always going to take time anyway.
yeah,
And you can kind of see like what they're doing now and kind of where they're going.
mm,
And they've got some damn good players to come back as well. So I've
yeah,
always said don't sleep on Chelsea, even if they have a bad start, they're still
mm,
probably going to get it going, and they're going to have players coming back while you've got players going out.
yeah.
So
I
they're
mean,
going to be in the higher sections, I think.
yeah. I mean, with Mauricio Pochettino, I think maybe I don't know if he has or hasn't, but maybe it feels like there's with this stubborn nature to not sort of like, yeah, oh, this is a big team coming to play football. They're above us in the table. Everyone puts them to beating us. Like we've got to be careful there to play to not be beaten.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like Maurizio Pochettino might be giving this message of like it's us against the world. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone's out to get us here. We've got a lot to prove, so let's prove it. And
Mm,
I think with a lot of these guys, the young players, young raw talents, it's not a team of experience. You have one or two more experienced players. A big question about the leadership aspect of that team, like who are your out and out leaders who
yeah.
will drag you through the trenches. Um, whether that will be someone like Thiago Silva or somebody else like a Reece James. I think just this collectiveness from Chelsea is a welcoming sight because based
Yeah.
off of last season, barely any goals. Of course, they didn't concede many, but it's just they didn't look competitive
No. No.
in so many games last season. But they make a lot of chances. Uh, really struggling to convert those chances. And perhaps you'd say there's a mental block. And I think with the fact that you got someone like Nicholas Jackson getting on the score sheet frequently, but just the team scoring a lot of goals. I mean, the game before this was beating Tottenham 4-1. So that's 8 goals in 2 games for Chelsea.
Exactly. Yeah,
Coming from
I'm
a
glad we
place,
played them before, mate. To be honest.
whereas last season you'd say, well, if they scored 8 goals, you'd probably say, well, it would have taken them half a season to score 8 goals.
Yeah,
and
we got lucky, mate. We got lucky because we got them when they was just not at it or anything. So that was a nice 3 points for us.
Yeah, you got them when they're still
that
figuring things out. They're still trying to figure things out, and I think it's now that they've started to, it's starting to uncover this, the grand scheme for Chelsea, and probably the best way to actually get tunes out of this Chelsea squad. So it's positives, I'd say, for Mauricio Pochettino. Lots of work, but plenty of positives.
Absolutely. Stephanie Griffiths, big up to you. Cheers for dropping in. Not seen you in my chat before. Good afternoon, Yeti. My debut on your channel, 12th like, thank you. And more importantly, 105th subscriber. Excellent. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Big up myself and Opfuzz. I meant big up you, actually. But I don't know. It went wrong there. But yeah, so on to, and I'm so excited that football's back this weekend. So excited. And what a game to start with. First one, 12:30
kickoff.
Manchester City against Liverpool. Now this should be a quality game.
Yeah.
Will Liverpool, I think Man City will probably have enough to take this, to be honest with you. I'm thinking something like 3-1. I could be wrong. I mean, I was about the Chelsea Man City game, but I don't know. There's got to come a point where Man City get on it and start taking away like they normally do. And this is a big one, and it could really go either way because Liverpool's got a quality attacking lineup, and but then so has City. Then you've got the defences. I think City has actually got the better defence and the better midfield. So, yeah, I think this is a City game. What do you think?
Well, it's quite a similar story, actually, funnily enough, with Liverpool and City. I mean, first versus second place as it stands. You got on one side of things, got Manchester City, most goals scored with 32 goals this season. 12 goals conceded, that's 20 plus goal difference. With Liverpool, 27 goals scored, but only 10 goals conceded. So it's only 3 goal differences to separate the two teams. So I think that based off of track record with Manchester City, at the Etihad, you'd back Manchester City to win this game. But for me, this could play out quite similarly to the Chelsea game.
Yeah.
Where they might score quite a few goals, but what about the other end of things? Because, again, Liverpool's potent attack, if they are going to be clinical, if they're going to make good chances, if they're going to take them, I think it is going to be a question about midfield and, control of the game. Manchester City, much more first team options available. I think Liverpool have got Alexis McAllister available for this game. I think Gravenberch is a doubt for this.
Yeah.
So again, I think if you were to write the two midfields next to each other, I think everybody would choose Manchester City's all day of the week. And I think with this game, where attacks are going to be quite instrumental, I think also that midfield battle is going to be so key to who actually bests this game. But then you've got to think about those strikers. Darwin Núñez or versus Haaland, who's going to be more clinical, who's going to get those goals, who's going to be the better striker on the day, and which team's going to construct the better chances. And maybe, I mean, whether we can speak about defences in this game, I know Manchester City might leak a few goals if they're off it, if their defence is not quite sharp, as well as Liverpool's defence. They're Liverpool quite guilty of conceding some early goals in games this season. So
it's a 0-0 then.
Well, I mean, if everybody starts scoring, goals that VAR just has a field day with, then
big up, Drew, mate.
But I'd seriously look out for the early stages of this game with Manchester City. They might score that early goal, because based off of what's been going on with Liverpool this season thus far, unless Jurgen Klopp's magically fixed it and
Yeah.
Liverpool waver the early storm, um, I think it's going to be it's set up to be probably watch of the weekend.
I would say it's on that line, which is why I'd say 0-0. But I can't see this in a million years being a 0-0. To be honest, um,
Mm,
Forest and Brighton. Right.
mm,
Well, my take is this: it's got to be a win for us. It's got to be 3 points. We are quite nasty at home at the moment. Unbeaten in 20 games or whatever in league standard, not in anything else.
mm,
So I mean, I we are good against Brighton at City Ground as well. We do seem to stifle them. All going to come down to the fact of if we can get the goals, which we've got the players to get the goals because we've got quite a scary front line as well, and
mm,
we've definitely got a good midfield as well. When it
mm,
clicks, when it all clicks, it looks amazing and it all comes together. Uh, Defense wise, probably not going to be no Murillo. Not sure if Philippe's back. But you've got Bowley. We've got a plethora of players. Got Aina who has been playing really well as well.
mm,
I don't know. I see this one as a win for us. I'm going to go 2-1 on this one. I think,
mm. Yeah,
and
I
the
can
goalie's
see.
playing well as well.
Mm, mm. I mean, for Brighton, I can see this going the way of being a victory for Nottingham Forest. I mean, some people might say, Brighton because it's deserby football, sexy, hipster football. They'll play Forest off the park and all of that stuff like that. I mean,
Mm,
look at the way in which they've got so many injuries, key injuries as well. They're not playing quite as well as they should be.
no.
They're missing something from their team, and De Zerbi, I think, is probably experimenting with his team a little bit too
Do you
much.
think
Trying.
adding Ansu Fati was a mistake?
Um, I mean,
I think it's broke it up a little
I
bit.
think I think with Ansu Fati, I think again it goes back to De Zerbi's experimentation. Like he's playing
Mm,
around with formations and shapes, and we'll play with the wingers more centrally, but further back behind a striker. That's not really a striker. It's like last game. I think Adam Lallana started the game in the striker's position. I'm
yeah,
thinking, what's this experimentation about? I think
yeah,
with Ansu Fati, he comes from playing as like a left winger for Barcelona, and you
mm,
think, well, maybe he won't do so well in the Premier League, but again, he's sort of at a team where if you play this sort of quick pass and move type football, like fluid passing motion, Ansu Fati could be quite good with a give and go,
yeah,
and he's
yeah. Oh,
good technically
definitely.
on the ball. I think for the fact that he has scored a couple goals as well for Brighton means not a bad player, not a bad shout for recruitment, but
Mm,
what sort of system is he walking into here? Like
yeah, yeah, exactly.
what is Brighton's game plan here? And I think it's going to be one of those where if you're Brighton, you're travelling away to Forest City ground, you're not going to have an easy day if you're going there to experiment. You're
Yeah,
not going to have an easy day, and I think if De Zerbi approaches this with a bit more simplicity, I think you should see a much more competitive game balance, maybe more in favour of Brighton,
yeah,
and maybe it would still go that way. Maybe they get better possession, more passing, more attempts, but ultimately not the goals at the end of the day. So
mm,
I think for Forest it's a hard task, but
yeah,
I think again at home got the quality, and Brighton might just play in such a way or experiment in such a way that it ultimately bites them in the backside. And
yeah.
Forest they wind up victors. So
You also got the crowd factor as well because I mean the
mm,
crowd as soon as the game starts, it's just singing um, for 90 minutes. You know what I mean?
mm,
It's a very sort of like foreboding ground. You know, if
It's
that's
like
the right
it's like
word.
I'll tell you what, it's like the King Power Stadium.
Mm,
Not then. Well, I mean, actually, in terms of the first couple seasons, I mean, it's a
yeah,
bit more like a library now. But
yeah,
that place was bouncing. Like literally every single time I watched a game played at the King Power, the camera footage was just shaking the whole time. You're just like,
yeah,
can these
yeah,
guys just keep this camera straight for God's sakes?
yeah.
Like it was absolutely bouncing. I think Forest is sort of building that type of atmosphere where it's just bouncing non-stop.
Yeah,
And I
and it
think
feeds the players. It feeds the players as well, hearing all
mm,
that noise, and you know that atmosphere really feeds the players, and I think
mm,
that's what kind of gets us over the line, and why we can hold the game like we
mm,
don't seem to be able to do at the minute away from home. So that's probably one way of looking at it. We do tend to be able to do it at home, but it's doing it away where we seem to be struggling a little bit.
with the
But
game plans, yeah. I mean, with the game plan wise, it's not quite ticking for you away from home. But my concern with Steve Cooper with this game is he's again avoid going into the extremities with your
yeah,
game management, because equally, if even if Brighton are playing inside themselves, if Steve Cooper presents the open door of opportunity, I don't think Brighton's really that sort of team that you want to give those opportunities to.
oh no, definitely not,
Because that
definitely not.
they will seek to punish you.
Yeah, definitely, 100%, 100%. Any game, I mean, I don't disrespect or any team. I just think of my own team and what my own team's capable of, and with
Mm,
that crowd behind them, I think they're capable of easily getting 3 points
mm,
at home. I
yeah.
just do. I think the players, the fans run through to the players, and it just G's them up, and it gets them going. Maybe when it's away, there's more fans for the away team. So it's that
Mm,
little bit harder to, I mean, even though our fans never shut up anyway,
mm,
it's probably not that, you're going to hear the opposition a lot more prevalent than what you are
mm,
yourself.
yeah.
So, that is going to play a factor as well. Right. Anyway, on to, so what was your score? Did you say a score?
I don't think I've given any score predictions for any games yet.
Oh, have you not?
Um,
City.
I suppose we can do that at the end once we've sort of given the rundown of the games. Good.
Yeah, well, it can do. Yeah, I
Just
mean,
quick fire score predictions
yeah, okay.
with the fixtures.
So on to Newcastle Chelsea. If it was the full strength Newcastle, I'd
Mm,
say Chelsea. This is going to be a real tough test, but I mean Chelsea, you know what tough tests are because they've had a lot of them this season. But Chelsea are kind of looking decent. They're looking all right now. They're looking like they're
mm,
starting to pull something together, and it's starting to work. And Newcastle, again, really, really under strength team at the moment.
mm,
They shouldn't be tired. They've just had 2 weeks. So, any players they put on the pitch should be able to perform. I think Gimaresh is back, in he only got suspended for one game, I think, which I thought was absolutely disgraceful that he gets suspended and Havertz gets
mm,
absolutely nothing for trying to break Longstaff's legs. And he has actually put
mm,
Longstaff out with an ankle injury, but gets nothing because this lad is just the golden boy. You might as
mm,
well just remake the Golden Child and put him in it instead of
mm,
Eddie Murphy. You know what I mean? It's just
yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. Some of the shit this guy gets away with. Big up Red Bull vodka, by the way. Let me just get these. I think you can get something off Brighton. Yeah, I would hope so, man. I would hope so. Yeah, Chelsea changing gears. The players are feeling pot system now. Yeah, I agree. I do really think they are. And I think this is going to be a tough one for Newcastle, but it is Newcastle at home,
Mm,
which is always something you have to take into account. And these players should be up for it from getting the energy from the crowd. It's a weird one. I'm not quite sure who they've got back for the game, whether Isaac's back. whether some of the other players are actually back in
A
contention.
doubt. I think it's a doubt for both. I think it's a doubt for both Isaac and Callum Wilson.
Mm,
Then again, also for Chelsea's part, Nkunku and Lavia, they are both now considered doubts because
yeah,
both sets of players are sort of close to returning to fitness. As far as injury lists go, obviously Newcastle still missing quite a lot of players. I mean, no Dan Burn, no Sven Botman, no Harvey Barnes, no Jacob Murphy, no
it's
Targay, no
massive, isn't it?
Tonali.
Massive that
There's
is.
so many key players there. I mean, for
That,
Chelsea, they're
yeah.
only really missing Wesley Fofana, Chukwuemeka, Chilwell, and Chalobah.
Mm,
So I mean,
that is just
Chelsea are
frightening.
closer. Chelsea are much closer to what they want to be at
Yeah,
full strength than Newcastle are. And I think on the back of that, I mean, of course, Newcastle have got one. Eddie Howe's going to have a clear stated message. We lost in an unacceptable fashion, and the fans were
yeah,
very dissatisfied with us losing to Bournemouth.
definitely.
Now you've had 2 weeks to play for your international teams or whatever, relax, take a chill pill. Um, Now it's back to the grind, and I think with this one, Newcastle, if before the season, if I were to look at this fixture, I'd say, oh, Newcastle, it should be a guaranteed win for them. I think Newcastle have got their work cut out for them, big
Definitely,
time.
yeah, 100%,
And
100%.
I've got to appreciate Chelsea for just making all of these sorts of fixtures close and competitive,
Mm,
even if the odds are stacked against them. The fact that they'll go to these grounds, tough grounds, and I mean St James's Park is turned into a cauldron. Like
yeah,
it's so difficult to actually go there and be the better team, let
mm,
alone win. So yeah, I mean Chelsea, of course, it's going to pose to be a difficult game, but I think there's going to be a lot of confidence with the Chelsea fan base going into
yeah.
this
You
game.
can
It's going to be a lot of
feel the anticipation building, can't you, where
yeah.
Chelsea's concerned?
Yeah, and I think Chelsea, they should fancy their chances. They should
Mm,
absolutely fancy their chances. I think look at the fact that they are a weakened Newcastle team. Fancy your chances. Don't take anything for granted because again, Newcastle, they can take a weakened team and still beat you.
yeah,
It's you've got to be competitive like you've been for the past two Premier League fixtures, and assert yourselves and use your quality, use it well. And I think Newcastle's defence, they're going to be in for a tough day. I think with Chelsea's midfield is going to be important. Try and
yeah,
control that, recycle possession and use it well. Um, and as long as Chelsea have got clinical shooting boots on, I think Chelsea should take this one.
yeah, yeah. So fair enough. I mean, I think I'm thinking more a draw, to be honest, but that's just how I'm thinking at the moment.
Mm.
Luton, Crystal Palace. I mean, Luton are at home to Crystal Palace, and it's going to be an interesting one because they've got Eze back, haven't they? So
Mm.
I think it's going to be difficult for Luton. I mean, they fight and they fight and they fight, a bit
Mm.
like Sheffield United, but Palace just probably will have that little bit more quality than
Mm.
what they've got. To be honest, I mean that's the way I think this would go. But it also could be, it could be a Luton turnaround as well, because it does happen. I mean, it happened for us last season. We went 3 or 4 games unbeaten all of a sudden.
Mm.
So I mean, it does happen, and it can happen, and they have got a little bit of a shining light by being taken out of the bottom three. So surely that's going to come into play when they're thinking about, they're playing this game.
Mm.
We've got a bit of a helping hand here. Let's take advantage of it and let's use it.
Yeah, I mean Crystal Palace will be, I think, chomping at the bit for this game.
Mm.
Um, I think Eze. I think Eze's been back for a little while. It's Michael Elise that's now fit.
Yeah, that's a massive
He's
miss
ready
as
to
well.
play. Matthias Franca, Jefferson Lerma as well.
Mm.
Will Hughes available. They've literally got everybody fit, barring Saki, um, and Tompkins. I think that's it. They've got
Yeah,
everybody else available. So Crystal Palace. I think Roy Hodgson. I think he's going to be eager to put on a good performance. You see his team firing on all cylinders, and I think with Luton it's going to be a physical game,
Yeah,
physical
definitely.
affair. And I think Crystal Palace, they're going to have to stick the elbows out a bit and
Mm.
make it a tough fixture.
I think
Not
Luton make some good chances, actually. They just need that
mm,
quality to actually finish them off when they make them. I mean, that one
mm,
against Spurs. I mean, Adebayo should be putting that in every day. But,
mm,
he goes down onto the ground and it just bobbles off the pitch and goes. But it was an open goal. He should have been putting that in to be a draw. And that was even when Spurs was, they had all their players and stuff like that. Didn't think they was particularly good that
mm,
game. To be honest, I mean, I know Henry Wright says, well, we was obviously better because look how many chances we had on goal. Chances
mm,
on goal ain't what it's about. Putting it in the net is what it's all about.
mm. Yeah, I mean with
Yeah, it's not boxing. You don't win on point.
well, I mean,
No, you didn't
unless
win.
the judge's scorecard say, well, yeah, this guy was better.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
unfortunately, guys, football's not decided on judge scorecards. It's judged by
No,
what the scoreline is at the end of the game.
exactly,
But
exactly.
I think with the players that Luton have got in their attack, I mean, Tahith Chong is starting to show a little bit of bite.
Mm,
Obviously, it's quite reliant on being a counter-attacking sort of move. Ogbene as well.
yeah, got some
Good
good,
options
decent
there.
players to be honest.
Adebayo, with the fact that he's bloody tall as anything,
Mm.
like man's just a
Carlton Morris.
freaking ent, bloody ent from I believe he's from Lord of the Rings. Just a massive target man. Get more players involved in the game. But a lot of speed, a lot of different elements about
Mm,
this Luton town. So I think with Luton they can change the approach. If one way doesn't work, there is other ways to get
yeah,
at the opponent. And I think
true,
the
true.
fact that Luton have got those options, sure, it's not ideal quality, but
Mm,
sometimes even with lesser quality, it's just work the right sort of chance, and
yeah.
it all falls into place. And with Luton, if you've got those options, I mean, Crystal Palace, uh, they'll be fancying their chance. I think Luton should be optimistic with this
Mm.
sort of game, and
Got a
just
draw against Liverpool there
yeah, yeah,
because
and
it's a very small pitch and it's very close to the
yeah,
crowd as well. So it's very weird to a lot of the grounds there is now.
yeah, yeah, and I think
Quite intimidating as well.
use that to your advantage.
Yeah, 100%.
Make
Yeah.
make it look like what am I thinking of?
Mm,
Gladiator's pit or something. Make it
yeah.
feel like that. Make it feel like Crystal Palace have got that they've stepped into the wrong part of town.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Make it yours.
mm,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you totally. That's what we do when we're at home. That's what they've got to do and learn to do. And make sure, even if you're not picking points up away, make sure you're picking them up at home. That's your meat
mm,
and drink, really.
yeah,
And then you've got this game, which could be a cracker, could be the most boring game you've ever seen in your life. That's Sheffield United against Bournemouth. I mean,
mm,
personally, like I say, Sheffield fight hard at home.
mm,
They do fight hard. They do lack the quality though, and I
mm,
think that might be where Bournemouth succeed here because they have got the quality of Solanke. He started putting the ball away. He's
mm,
quite a dangerous forward man when he gets going.
yeah,
You got Christie with a quality left foot. So I don't know. It's a weird one. I mean, Sheffield really, really have got to be getting 3 points here. They've got to be going
mm,
all out to get the 3 points, whether they
mm,
can or not, because they've had that guy sent off last week. So it's down to that. Bournemouth just beat Newcastle, so their head should be high at the moment. So
mm,
it's an interesting one. It could be interesting. It could be boring as hell. What do you think?
mm. I think sometimes with with the Premier League, it's like if you rate a lot of games to be good, there's I think inevitably one of the other games is going to be absolutely woefully poor, and
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
this is
pretty much.
probably. I think I'll probably cash out on this one being one of those boring games.
Mm, mm.
Because I mean, Bournemouth have got one side of things where it's like, focus on getting your points at home. Sheffield United are also, let's try and get our points at home. So it looks like already it's set up to be one of those really cagey matches where I think it's very sort of long ball esque. You know, play try and use a target man and work a space. I think probably a back five is a type of system that Sheffield United will look to impose. And usually with teams that play back fives at home, bottom of the table, they usually stink games out like that. But if the quality of the opposition is not great, then again it sort of sets itself up for that. For me,
Yeah,
Bournemouth, if there's any team that would take this, I would probably say it would be a Bournemouth. But it's like it would have to be a 1-0 type result. It's going
yeah,
to be
yeah.
something like a 0-0 or a 1-1 draw.
Mm.
But again, I'm sort of deciding that on a basis of favouring Bournemouth by like a 55% to a 45% Sheffield United.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
it doesn't scream like there's players there that are going to take the game by the scruff of the neck.
No,
But I
it
think
don't,
the
does it? There's
respective
nobody
teams,
really.
like maybe Dominic Solanke could get him, so could be the star.
Billing,
But
Billing can be quite the player, I think.
yeah, and I think it's one or two individuals that might be the standout before all the the win factor. Um,
Yeah.
so
Brooks is another one I really like as well.
mm,
He
but yeah,
can open anybody up. I mean, he is. I liked him when he was in the Championship, and liked him since he's gone to Bournemouth. I mean, he had that scare, but he's
mm,
back playing again now. But he's just one of those players that can all of a sudden do something amazing. So it might be
mm,
interesting to see how Brooksy gets on in that game as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
Right, on to Red Bull Vodka says relegation zone will be brutal. January window crucial. It is. It's going to be massive for some of
mm.
them teams. Luton's got to get some quality
For a
up
lot of
front.
teams.
Yeah, I mean there's Arsenal need a striker, 100%.
United needs a
Man
new
United
team.
need a new team. Um,
Need a new club.
yeah, yeah. Man United need to buy a new club in January, and it is. Newcastle's definitely got to strengthen. Chelsea, I think, are all right when the guys will come back and everything, but Brentford, I'd say, probably need a striker as well. To be fair,
Mm,
but then there's going to be Tony, and that's going to be quite an interesting
mm,
window. To be fair, Burnley as well. They're going to need
mm,
recruitment.
mm.
Burnley, West Ham.
Got to be for me. I think I'm swayed much more by West Ham. I think too much quality for Burnley to deal with, and I think West Ham, David Moyes, to
Mm,
most extents, has found a good balance with his team. And I
yes,
think
yeah,
when he goes up against another team that is fighting, trying to be quite brutal, trade blow for blow, I think he's sort of knowing how to get his team to be the team that has the last laugh. So I
yeah,
think
be
even if
solid, yeah,
Burnley come out to play and they do get a couple goals, West Ham will
mm,
probably score
yeah,
more than them. If that be the case, but then it might go the other way, being West Ham just control the game from start to finish, and it's a clinical performance. Maybe Burnley
yeah,
do snatch a goal here or there, but I don't fancy Burnley's chances against a team like West Ham with the way in which they're looking, um, and so many dangerous players and
mm.
key players. If it's not from open play, you've got the threat from set pieces.
Oh
And
yeah, that's it. Innit?
With teams like
Picata as
Burnley,
well. Picata fucking looks amazing.
if it's Burnley trying to sweep things up from the open play standpoint, they'll probably lack in the defensive
Mm.
elements of set pieces.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that number 30. I mean he could probably run through a few players and stuff like that. But like you say, Ward Prowse. I mean, get any free kicks outside the area, and that's deadly. Paqueta, he's just on a different planet. You can see why Man City was interested. Be interesting to see if they actually do decide to go through with that as well in January, because he's looking different class. Bowen's just, it still shocks me how Bowen's still at West Ham. To be honest, I think he's got quality. Mikel Antonio, don't really understand it. He's not the player that we had, to be quite honest. He's all right. Souček, scary man, and I think that's where this is going to be done. I think Burnley are going to do the same as what we did and fall asleep, set piece or anything like that, and Souček will absolutely eat you up. And if he don't, Zuma will. You know what I mean? So it's definitely. I think Burnley will go for it. That number 30 will really go for it like he did against Arsenal. Looks a quality player actually. That number 30. I can't remember his name. Ollie SU or something like that. But he does look like he's got some quality. But I'm surprised our company's trying to do this, to be honest, because he just isn't. He's not reneging on his ideas. He's just like, we're going to go out and we're just going to attack and attack and attack and attack and attack. You've got to be something. I mean, even Leicester coming up and winning the league, they had like a low block counter attack style.
They're plan A, plan B, and plan C.
Yeah, exactly.
With Vincent Kompany, he's too much trying to aspire to be like the modern day managers, where a plan A, perfect a plan A as best as you can. It looks well and good against a championship side where you may have better quality, but the coaching and tactics probably aren't anything special. So you can easily outplay a lot of championship teams on the basis of playing these different types of those sorts of opponents week in, week out, and so most days or most weeks a midweek fixture as well. So for Kompany, he's got to with teams that get promoted, usually the first point of addressal is how do we stay in the Prem rather than how do we go and cause damage in the Prem. And I think it's usually built on the foundations of having a strong defence and
100%.
slowly integrate a better midfield and attack as you go on, maybe throughout the season, and then going into the second season. But it's primarily strong defences. But Burnley haven't done that. They haven't taken that approach.
You've got to play ugly to stay in the Premier League. You can't, as much as you want to as a fan. Last season, I was like, just go for it. Oh, it's only such a good, just go for it. I mean, but the thing is with the Premier League, you've got to play ugly to manage to make sure you stay there. You can get your beautiful game and your nice tick-attacker styles and all that kind of stuff going in years to come. You just make sure you stay in the Premier League. And I think that's what we've done this season. Last season, played ugly. Won a few games, got enough points. This season, we've changed the formation, we've changed the tactic and everything. We've just got to get that mindset of when we're in the lead, plan B from last season. Let's make that the plan B, where we just basically start not low block, I'd say more mid block. I wouldn't say low block because low block's a bit dangerous when you're playing teams where they've got good free kick takers, because most of the time you make the challenges as they're outside your box. And if you get a foul there, then it's a shot on goal. And if you've got a Bruno Fernandes or a Ward-Prowse, it's not going to run well, is it? So you can't really do that. It's got to be a mid block, and when you get the ball, you've got to control it and keep playing it around, keeping it yourself instead of giving it away. Red Bull Vodka says about the Burnley game, West Ham playing Europa a few days later, so Burnley might give it a go. They'll be happy for a draw, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think if Kompany's got to get something done with that defence when he gets into January. But I don't think it's actually personnel that's his problem. I think it's just his tactics. And like you've said, he's trying to go into the Premier League and try and play Man City football straight away. And you're not going to get away with that. You're going to get found out. Right. On to Brentford, Arsenal. Brentford, they've slipped a little bit
Mm,
last week to Liverpool. Um, I still think Brentford just might be a little bit more on it this
mm,
weekend. They've had a good rest and everything like that. They've
mm,
managed to probably put in a few more game plans and things
yeah,
to try and sort things out. And Burmo on his day can be absolute quality. Wissa can be a really good player as well.
yeah.
They've got some decent players in midfield and things, and they can actually just control the game. And they do seem
Mm,
to have Arsenal's number at times as well. I've noticed. Do you
mm.
know what I mean? So it's going to be an interesting one. If Tony's in the crowd, is he going to be watching Brentford or is he going to be watching Arsenal?
I'll tell you what, it would be a spectacle of
Well, he'll watch both
cameras.
of them, but you know what I mean.
Well, yeah. If he starts celebrating both clubs' goals, then I think
Oh,
he'll
that'd
go
be,
most.
oh man, can you imagine that? If Arsenal score and he's like, yeah, and they get, and Sky cameras will go straight to him.
It's like Kovacic celebrating Cole Palmer's penalty the other day. And you
Yeah,
see, yeah, I mean, with Brentford, it's the ideal venue for them to cause any sort of an upset. And
mm,
as far as Arsenal are concerned, they like I mean they've got quality to get this job done. I think for the players that they'll have available in this fixture as well, they should go into this feeling fairly confident and
mm,
looking to just do a clinical job, just get
yeah,
two
yeah,
3-0 sort of scoreline or 3-1 scoreline and get out there with the 3 points.
yeah,
Um, for Brentford's case, again, for me, it goes back to Thomas Frank and how he approaches this game. Because if for what approach he's made thus far this season, obviously playing narrow attack with
yeah.
wingers playing more like strikers.
Got the Toulouse, mate.
Um,
That's just,
no worries. But yeah, to me, it's going to rely quite heavily on Brentford and how it is that Thomas Frank sets them up. Because if he goes into this game looking to try and play this sort of narrow front two with Mbomo and Visa, with everybody else behind, and rely on wing backs again, I think with Arsenal they've got defensive awareness enough to shut down a lot of threats. And I know with the centre back partnership that they've got, if you're playing through the middle, it's not going to bode very favourably for you. I think the best place, obviously in midfield. Midfield looks like it could be a target factor for Brentford, but again, Arsenal, they probably got Declan Rice back, probably Thomas Partey as well. They've got a lot of players fit. They've got a lot of players fit. At least I think no, is Declan Rice fit? He might have. I'll have to look into that. But if Declan Rice is fit, I think he just on his own, having his presence in midfield would be a massive playing factor to that midfield battle. Because I mean Brentford, they'll want to establish some air of dominance in the midfield factor just so that it favours a better chance for the likes of Mbomo and Visa up top. Let's go have a quick check on their squad to see who's fit and who isn't. So no Martin Odegaard still supposedly, and no Thomas Partey. So I think it's got to be a Declan Rice um, master. I say masterclass. I think it's going to be an important factor. One of the most important factors for Arsenal if they want to do well um, at I think it's the GTEC Community Stadium. Um, and everybody else has got to be finding their feet as well. And no Fabio Vieira, I think he's still suspended. He got a straight red card
yeah.
last game. I think Bukayo Saka, he's got to find his some good goal scoring form. I think Martinelli's got to play a big part in this. I think Leandro
Mm.
Trossard, I think he's probably going to start in this game as well, because I think it's probably going to be if
Big up,
playing back
Tony.
five. Yeah, big up Tony Barra. if you're playing a
19
back
hours
five,
we've been streaming, apparently.
hmm, well, well, it doesn't feel like 19 hours if it has. Well, but yeah, I mean, if Brentford are going to play this back five thing like they did against Liverpool, like I think they might set up to contain. I don't know if, say, well, actually, no, it might be the right thing to do against Arsenal because it's not like a
Yeah.
rampant attack like a Liverpool have. They've got players that can do it based off of last season. They can do it, but they've not been doing it this season with a rampant attack.
No, they're not the
and I
same
think,
as last season. Last season, if you withstood the first like 20 minutes, then you could kind of get back into the game. But now they're a bit more conservative.
yeah,
And the sort of like, so you've got to get them. It's quite a good idea, to be fair, but you've got to get at them, and then they can kind of hit you. But I don't see, I see Brentford going for it. To be honest with you, I mean they tend to always do that when they're at home, and I think they'll just try and go and grab it. And I've got a good feeling about Brentford this weekend.
It could be a bit of an end-to-end affair, perhaps.
Could, yeah, it definitely could. Definitely. Just whether Arsenal have got the backbone to go with an end-to-end type of game, or if Brentford will actually sort of take over that scenario. You know what I mean?
Depends if the best-looking Spaniard everyone seems to know
Well, yeah.
decides that he wants to, give the platform to Kai Havertz again, or if he's going to actually field
Which he will,
a
he
more
will.
ideal team. Yeah.
Which is incredibly stupid, but at the end of the day, I tell you now, right? If in that game he does another exocet tackle and nothing happens to him, I'm gonna walk out my door. I'm gonna get a train. I'm going to London. I'm gonna kick the fucking shit out of that fucking lamppost, because at the end of the day, what has he got that he's getting away with all these things? Because
I'll tell you what, you got to beat Lee Gunner to him punching his face, because Kai Havertz with the punchable face.
Well, yeah, but if Lee Gunner actually goes anywhere near the Emirates, he's dead anyway, isn't he?
Well, he wouldn't want to go. He wouldn't want to step back foot in the country anyway, because he hates the UK. He hates England.
Why would you really? I mean, if I could get out of this country, I would. To be honest.
Well, I want to as well.
Yeah,
Fuck off to
100%.
the
Gone
south
for
of
the
Europe.
dogs, man.
Yeah.
So on Sunday we got Tottenham against Aston Villa at 2:00. This is a tough one, man. This is a tough one for Villa. For Spurs.
Well, it could be a tough game for both. I mean, Aston Villa are away, and whether they're a bit more, say, hit and miss with big games. Because to be fair, the last away day for Aston Villa,
I'll pay for the ticket. He wants me to punch Havertz.
You can ask that question to everybody else as well. They'll probably say the same thing. But
yeah,
I'll tell you what, Aston Villa, last time they were away from home was against Nottingham Forest at the City Ground. They lost that game. This Tottenham Hotspur away, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I know Tottenham Hotspur, they've got frailties at the moment. A lot of key players missing.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult sort of headache selection for Ange Postecoglou to find a team or a worker defence that's going to keep Leon Bailey, Diaby, Watkins, McGinn, Tillemans,
scary,
Douglas Luiz, and I mean, that's excluding the potential overlapping fullbacks that they might opt to play within this game. So there's a lot to be worried about and concerned about if you're Ange Postecoglou, and a lot of thinking about how am I setting up this team tactically, because we know that he's also stubborn, that he's going to say, well, I'm going to play my way. A lot of Tottenham fans would be like, oh, we love Ange Ball, but not when we've got that defense available. We want
No,
to play. We want to
no.
play Conte football here. We want to play the shithousery.
100%.
So cut
100%.
pressure, hit them on the break. You've got the attacking quality and some good players in midfield, right? And that's what you should opt to utilize. But if you're playing some ridiculous high line, and I'll tell you what, this isn't like playing against Wolves.
No,
right?
no.
Aston Villa are not Wolverhampton Wanderers. There are
Nope.
3 players in a front 3 that they can field that are mad quick.
Yeah, and lethal as well.
Yeah. So for me, this is panic stations, I think, for Tottenham in the preparation for this game. But to be honest, I still think that even with a lot of planning and thought process going into this, I think this is going to go in the way of Aston Villa. I think they'll fancy their chances and they should be able to get something.
I agree. The only thing that I would say is, as we saw Villa trying to finish against us, I mean, it was absolutely shocking, and I think that's pretty much the only opportune chance Spurs have got here. But if that attack works together and is in cohesion, this one is not going to be a fun sight for the Spurs fans, I can imagine, to be honest.
And a slow defence and a high line that plays on a halfway line against 3 pacey attackers of Leon Bailey, Diaby, and Ollie Watkins. Oh my God!
Surely he can't be that daft.
Well, it's the modern day manager, isn't it? Ange Postecoglou. Let's play my way or the highway. And I'll tell you what, it's got a lot of Tottenham fans thinking, oh no. Are we going to do? Are we going to? I'm praying that Ange has got something else up his sleeve here.
Yeah.
He's setting up to be.
But it's the football they want, though, isn't it? It's the football they've always wanted. So if you can't, when you get what you've always wanted, you can't complain.
It's when you start to hear the Antonio Conte chants in the stadium when Ollie Watkins grabs his double hat trick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to have nice football, but you've got to also have a way of managing that nice football as well. You can't just have, gung ho, send 11 people into the box for 90 minutes. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just mental because you're always, and like I say, with Villa, I mean, that attack is frightening, and McGinn can find them, and Douglas Luiz can find them as well. I mean, it could be a really, really long day for Spurs, this one.
Yeah, it's going to look like that, and I think I think with Ange Postecoglou, he's going to pin a lot of hopes on someone like Brennan Johnson spreading the pitch. Heung-min Son looking to have a accurate.
He's gone in his shell again, hasn't
he? Well, that's the thing. He's got to find some form of goal scoring form again very, very soon. And Dejan Kulusevski, he's got to be clinical with his passing. He's got to be very cutting edge. Because I can imagine with Aston Villa's defence, they're not terrible. They do a good job with Pau Torres in there, and I think it's Concert that they play with as partnership, or Tyrone Mings. So I think there's 3/3 of the pitch at Aston Villa. I think you could say either could go toe to toe with Tottenham Hotspur based off of the injuries that they have, or succeed them. And I think Aston Villa with the better defence, this is going to be quite revolvent around just how good a job respective teams' attacks will do, and how I'd say how direct I would probably say, or how well drilled the midfields are, both defensively and offensively. Because I think there's going to be a lot of times in this game where possession gets cut out in midfield, and then you've got to make the transition back again. And I think it's going to be quite a lot of that going on in this game. But I just think Aston Villa, they're just more set up for it, to be honest.
Well, I mean, the thing is, what we did when they played us at our place, we pulled them apart and pulled them away and allowed
mm,
players to get into the middle because we'd pulled them to the sides and all that kind of thing.
mm,
Is Tottenham going to be able to do that? Because it's like
mm,
they've got Brennan Johnson, who is a danger and he's got something going in his future. Kulusevski at times he does the same thing every time. He pulls
mm,
inside. You're not telling me that Unai Emery don't know that.
mm,
Son, like I say, against Wolves, he might as well
mm,
not been on the pitch, to be honest.
mm. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, with Tottenham Hotspur, um, Ange Postecoglou with the, I think we've seen a lot of how we assess the situations or what the opponents are doing or how they're set up. I mean, we see
Mm,
how he opts to play or how the team responds to having man advantages in games. We know that even with the first team options, there sometimes if it's a stubborn defence, they're not very good with breaking those defenses down consistently.
yeah, yeah.
Because I think they sometimes get to the edge of the box and shoot.
Mm,
I mean, with James Madison there, you could say that there is a key player, influential player,
massive miss in he is.
and I think with a goal threat, not just in the presence of scoring but also assisting. And Heung-min Son, I said a little while back, he's lost his partner in crime
Mm,
because that's the biggest contributing duo
yeah.
for Tottenham Hotspur. No one else is anywhere near the level of goals contribution as them,
Mm,
um, which to me is it's got to be whoever else it is that plays in that midfield has got to do God's work
yeah,
to
yeah.
to feed the
Definitely.
likes of Brennan Johnson, Son, and Dejan Kulusevski.
Mm,
Because again, whoever is in that midfield, you're up against Douglas Luiz and Kamara. Those are two
and
good.
again,
Those are two solid. Two solid defensive midfielders.
yeah, yeah.
Plus, then you've got the back four that they can sit to a flat back four, and it poses all sorts of problems.
Mm, definitely, definitely. DJ Crane says, "Yeah, last day at work till Monday. Then I'm better. Then I'm doing my best Yeti impression." What's that? Bye. Well, you
One more
enjoy
thing.
yourself, Tony. Yeah, absolutely. Wolfgang Division is back in here. Yahoo!
Yahoo!
He's back in here. So we just picked up Chelsea, by the way, and said he'd
Mhm,
possibly beat Newcastle with the way
mm,
you're playing at the minute.
mm.
Right, on to Everton, Man United, and it's at Goodison Park, if it's still called that. So I know all the names are changing and stuff.
It's if there's
Um,
going to still be a stadium by the time the Old Trafford team bus
trust
arrives
you
there.
to
There's
get
probably going to
these
be
first.
it's going to be riots everywhere. I swear down. I
Yeah.
mean, I know I said with the results review earlier in the show that Everton, it's not all doom and gloom. It's not like they're just doomed for relegation now. Like with one match weekend, if judging other results go their way, just
Mm,
one match weekend, they can straight away be back out of the drop zone again. And just keep working from there. I mean, you come into form at a good time. You're starting to pick up good results against decent teams as well. So as far as Everton are concerned, you know this is not a sort of game where you go, oh well, for goodness sakes, just throw our toys out the pram. Though us United fans were hoping that'd be the case, it's not really the sort of mindset that you should have going into this game. It's, if anything, it should be making you more dangerous because it
yeah,
feels like I said, with Pochettino building a team mentality to think, oh, the world's against us. Sean Dyche is going to say, right,
of course he is.
the
Wounded
world is
animal.
against us, right? And that's the thing is, I said it with or somebody said it in the show last night, that I did on my channel, that Everton can be a wounded animal, but
Mm,
if you've cornered that animal, it's still dangerous,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that thing's going to
100%.
bite out at you. So,
Yeah.
Man United, we've got an interesting game ahead of us, really
Mm,
interesting, and it. I wouldn't say banana skin. I would say it's more of a, we have to get the judgment. We have to read this room correctly. Because if we go into this thinking what that Everton are going to be one thing and they come out being the other, there's no recovering that.
mm,
Because you've got to completely turn everything on its head, which we have not
mm,
done this season once.
that's
So if
true.
we get something wrong this season, fix it that same game. We don't turn
Yeah, yeah.
fortunes around and then finish the better team or something like that. We've got to read the room right before we even got there. So,
well, they're going to be wanting to show their fans that, yeah, fair enough, we've had points deduction, but they're going to be wanting to show their fans that, we ain't done, we ain't done. You know what I mean? So you getting them straight away is massive, really. Because I mean, the thing is, it's who's going to work the hardest and who's going to want it more. And I'm sorry, but looking at your team this season, that's that's got to be Everton, and they've got Calvert-Lewin who's scoring. You got Beto who looks decent as well. I mean, it could be a nasty day for you guys, to be honest.
Well, we got to, for us, we got to rely, and I think that's the biggest telling point to this is we're relying on Everton, contributing less for us to see a positive result. The fact is that United should never have to do that. You should, even if it's like Everton, the most informed team in the league, even if they were that, it's like Manchester United would still go into that and think, right, so we're going to beat them. How many are going to beat them by? Right now, it's like Everton, I think the ball is in their court with this because they're up against the United side that, are at 6s and 7s. We don't know what we're doing half the time. And, we've got to, we do have to be careful. We do have to be very, very wary. I think as far as the game goes, very physical affair. Everton, they're going to fight for everything. And Sean Dyche's message is going to be clear. I think the fans, because Sean Dyche's message is probably going to be, right, so the club's screwed over the fans. Us as a football team, we haven't screwed over the fans here, but let's fight for them. And I think there's got to be some form of a unity between the squad of players and the supporters, and I think that's probably going to be reflected this weekend. So even if it is Everton looking up for a fight, I mean Manchester United, God only knows what sort of United we're going to get there. I know we've got a couple of players back in training now and available for selection, but even then, I don't think there's any first team selection that's going to be enough to stamp out a fiery Everton that will be out for blood. And I think as you said, it could be a nasty afternoon, and I think that it could be not so much nasty, but just completely horrendous afternoon, and it could be a full on battering. And I'm looking at this way. If it really sways to mad extremities in favour of Everton, and that we just don't know what the hell we're doing, like the mentality is like we know that mentality at Man United is screwed. It's done for. So if you get put in a difficult position against a team that's up for it, usually we're lucky because the other team hasn't got quality. Everton have got quality. They've got options.
Definitely.
They've got Calvert-Lewin. I mean, Calvert-Lewin on his own could do mad amounts of damage.
O'Neill, Tarkovsky against Maguire and bloody Lindelof or whoever else you have on.
I think Evans. But yeah, it's not favoured for Manchester United, and I don't see us getting anything from this game, just solely based on the sort of approaches that both teams will be making, and on the basis that Everton are going to feel like the world is against them, so they're going to be lashing out at everything, at every team, at every opportunity. So Manchester United, you either turn up and play out of your skins, or you will suffer the consequences. And I believe, I don't back this team. I don't back the players that we've got to do that. So
that's it. I mean, when do you ever really sort of turn up, as in turn up? I mean, the only time I've seen it really was when we went 2-0 up against you at Old Trafford, and then all of a sudden you turned up then. If we'd have controlled the game a bit better, I mean, it would have meant controlling it for 80 odd minutes, which is going to be difficult at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
But if we'd have done something to sort of stem your enthusiasm,
Yeah.
so to speak, then maybe that could have turned out different. But I mean, potato, isn't it? It don't matter. It is what it is. We lost, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I just don't see that from Man United at the minute. I don't see that grit. I don't see that fight, and I think Everton will bring it to you big time. Big up to Jez, I all late on parade. Big up to you, man. Hope you're well.
Jez.
And, hope you're well and getting loads of voicemails and stuff like that. I'll say no more. And that's that. So, I mean, you guys just, I don't know, you're not a Man United team that I would put my money on. Let's put it that way.
No, I think I think right now, I'm just sort of sitting in limbo as a United supporter. I just think that all of this form right now is irrelevant. The real things, when things start to become irrelevant, is when we've got a new board that's going to change a lot of things, uproot a lot of weeds, and just on the whole, detoxify this club. And I'm hoping that that's what this new structure does, is it detoxifies this playing squad and becomes a team, or becomes a football club again, where fans can actually support the team and not have to worry about politics on pitch, off pitch, worry about cliques and dressing room leaks and things like that, where it's like Manchester United right now, it's like watching a reality television show. It's like a soap opera. Manchester United should be a football club, not a soap opera. It's not EastEnders, it's Manchester United Football Club.
You need the EastEnders drumbeat at the end of every game. That's what you need. Hey, just cover this. 7 voicemails this morning for Jez. So it looks like Pete Haywood's actually sending voicemails now as well. So he's upped his tech. He's upped his tech, Pete Haywood has. But anyway, Monday. This one sounds boring as hell, really. Fulham against Wolves. I mean, Wolves got to be mega happy with the way they took that game off Spurs. Took that 3 points off Spurs. So Fulham, just to me, Fulham without Paulinho, you might as well not even bother. So it's good thing that they kept him. I don't see. I think Wolves have got to come out of this with something. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Wolves will fancy their chances for this game. I back Wolves to actually get a result. I think if you beat Tottenham Hotspur the way you do, and the sort of message it gives you, your players, your squads, I think just all aspects of the club, it sets you up for a little run of momentum, and I think it's riding that momentum. I think Fulham away is, for Wolves, it's a difficult game. It is a difficult game for Wolves, but I mean, Fulham, they've got their own problems, and I think whilst Wolves also, it might not be one of those where it's like it's a blockbuster Monday night football type game. I think it might be a bit more of a conservative game. Like it's a little more sort of like relaxed a bit. I don't see it being high scoring. I think it's one of those where it's like you can distinguish which team will probably be better than the other, but not one of those where it's like, oh, this team's going to batter this opponent, or this game's going to be a must see type fixture. So I mean, I'm not too fussed about this game, but I think it would be a Wolves. I'd back Wolves to get something out of this game.
So basically, it's probably going to be a quality game then.
Might be.
You never know.
Because I've said it.
Because I've said it.
Because I've said it. Yeah, it's going to be the opposite.
With the Premier League, you never know. I mean, it's like, you say what you say about Man City, Chelsea, and then it becomes a cracking game. The Chelsea-Tottenham game, you think that's good. Oh, this is a whitewash by Tottenham. And look how that went. I mean, one of the best games I've seen this season 100%.
Mm.
You know, and I mean, quite one question to you: what do you think you're going to do in the transfer window?
Not a lot. And I mean, with Man United, it's never really a lot. And if say is an influence, if there is outside influence, and I think there's one deal that I think could be very likely to happen in the January transfer window, and that's Jean Claude Todibo or Jean Claire Todibo
Well, I was going to
from
say John
Nice.
Claude Van Damme then.
Wow, we've got quite a few Jean Claudes seemingly coming in.
Blood
Um,
sport.
but yeah, I mean, Todibo is probably a likelihood because at Nice, Sergeant Ratcliffe's other club, it seems
Mm,
obvious, and it's a step up, or at least it should be a step up from Nice to United for Todibo, and I think he would be open to taking that option, to taking that move. As for outgoings, I think maybe Varane might be someone that gets let go. I think Varane
mm,
could potentially be let go, and I think it would be a Todibo coming in. That is probably the only transfer move that we make. I know we've got a lot of other scouting things going on, but if we've got the right people in charge to actually with good power and options with what they can work with, they got the tools to work with. I know money's not free spend per se, but I think there's a lot of work that they've established that they need to do, but it's like I can trust them to actually do what it is that they say that they need to do.
yeah, yeah.
And it's something that I can back, I can get behind, I can say I can actually have faith in that project. It's going to take itself time, but I mean, I can actually get excited for transfer windows again, because it's like last summer or the summer before that, including all the Januaries that we've had. I've not been excited for any of them. I've
Mm,
I've always told the message that hopefully we can be excited, but it ends up proving to not be the case, and it's always that Murder Madness crap that we always get written in different forms, um, here and there, all over the media. So people, almost lapping it up in their fan base, saying, "Oh yeah, they're doing a good job, guys. They're trying their best." I'm like, "You're full of shit, and you know
mm,
it.
mm.
You're full of shit, and you know it." And you're watching these people. Literally, it's like you go and you look, you get like a Lego piece or something. Like you get a Lego set there, you start building, you've got instructions as to what it is it's meant to be. John Murtagh's there's just like, uh, uh, I'm under so much pressure,
He's
guys. Like,
stealing
get off
your
my
Lego.
back. Get off my back. Well, it's not stealing my Lego. I don't really own any
You
Lego,
need
but
to make him tread on Lego. Have you ever trod on Lego? You know, when you've got your
oh yeah,
socks on, you actually tread on. Fucking hell, man.
yeah,
That's ridiculously painful, isn't it? When you tread it,
yeah,
all it is a little plastic piece of
yeah,
Lego, and if you tread on it, it feels like your fucking life's ended in that
yeah,
particular moment.
yeah.
Absolutely mental. Got nothing to do with what we was talking about, but in the transfer window, I think that we will probably just strengthen, like, just buy in a defender, maybe a
Mm,
midfielder, and
mm.
maybe a forward. I don't think there'll be any like major things that we need. I
I
think
think
it's
you'll
more
have.
about mentality for us than it is like new personnel.
Yeah, I think.
I still think they'll make one or two. Well, one or two, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 signings, but you
Yeah, it
know
might be. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be something like that, where it's going to be
we're
signings you
going to
make
get
quite
Ivan
much
Tony,
like.
mate. We're going to steal Ivan Tony
There you
off
go.
Arsenal. Can you imagine that?
That would actually
Oh,
be
that'd
shit
be
house, wouldn't
hilarious for one
it?
million.
But yeah, I'll tell you what. I think with Nottingham Forest, it will be a case of you know finishing touch sort of signings to sort of complete this rendition of this Nottingham Forest team a bit, because you've sort
Mm,
of used the first half of the season to see, right, we've laid the foundations for that. What do we need to sort of finish this phase of this team? Not
yeah.
talking about Arsenal phases, because Leicester's Arsenal phases are completely just contradictory and useless. Nottingham
Mm.
Forest phase is like you're actually going from point A to point B with your teams, and you're evolutionising your team, you're changing it.
Yeah.
And what you've got is, with the summer transfer window gone, is you've laid the foundations. Now it's like you see where there are holes in the team. You
Mm-hmm.
might target those holes and just sort of plug those little gaps there and see what does this Nottingham Forest team do without the holes there. What does it do when there are no holes in the ship? So it doesn't sink. It will hit choppy waters here and there in the season,
Yeah.
but it won't sink. And I think that's probably
Yeah,
probably
we
the
need
outlook.
somebody who can slow things down in midfield and actually maintain
Mm,
the ball, and just, even if we're just doing triangles or whatever
mm,
like that,
yeah.
just basically maintain the ball, drop it forward when it needs to be dropped forward. Don't rush things when we're already in the lead. Just take it, but probably
Mm,
go conservative like Arsenal do,
mm,
when we're actually in the lead in a game. And I
mm,
think that would help us out a great deal. So, I mean,
mm,
Sangari can be that guy. I mean, he is getting better and better. Dominguez is a bit more of a forward going guy, and he's looking really decent as well.
I
But
think you'd need
Danilo as well to come back. So,
I think you'd need if I was someone at Nottingham Forest deciding targets, I'd probably look at someone like providing depth to Sangari, because Sangari's
mm,
proven to be such a key element to controlling
100%.
midfields, and
Yeah.
obviously the partners he has with him. But it's when Sangari isn't available,
Yeah.
is that the key piece there that he lifts everybody else's performance in
Yeah.
midfield. Do you need someone else that when Sangari doesn't play, or if he gets subbed off, that person that comes on, he locks things down, and
Mm.
players they still
Party,
know their
mate.
jobs.
We'll get Party for 250k off Arsenal, because I mean they're crap at selling, aren't they? So we could take advantage of that and get Thomas Party. He'd be a decent one to sort of
Mm,
have to
mm,
come on for Sangari.
mm, yeah, yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what sort of quota or price Arsenal would actually stick on Thomas Partey, because I know he's sort of a little bit, out of favour here and there. I mean,
Mm.
some of the top gunners for some reason not rating Thomas Partey. So he's so injury prone. Oh,
They'll rip his
he's tra-
contract up, mate, and they'll go,
yeah.
"Come on, off you go to Nottingham." And we'll go, "Yeah." We'll nick Emil Smith Rowe as well, and then we'll like ring them up and say, "How much do you want for Havertz?" And when they
Mm.
say, "Oh, such and such," we'll go, "Ha ha ha! See you, mate. Nobody else is going to be a prick like you. Nobody else is going to buy him. Sorry."
You'd almost ask them what price you'd take for Kai Havertz, just to then post it on a group chat that Arsenal aren't included in,
Yeah,
to all of the other
yeah.
clubs, and it's like, hey, look at these guys. They stuck this price tag on Kai Havertz, and it's just everyone just laughing together.
I've put in a bid for 65p. That's what I'd do. I'd actually send in
I'd
a
rather
bid for 65p.
I'd much rather pay 65p for a bag of ready salted Walker's crisps as opposed to
True,
paying
true.
65p for Kai Havertz,
Yeah, I think I
because
feel
it
ripped off for
solves
65p actually.
because watching Kai Havertz gives me pain. Eating a bag of Walker's crisps solves my hunger problems.
That is true.
It's more beneficial
That
to
is
me.
true. That's definitely true, mate, and it's definitely better for you, and it will
Yeah.
increase your health and it will help your five a day. Well, definitely. Well, the same as if you had like a
Mm,
advert stood in front of you and you
mm,
punched him in the face every time. You get a little bit angry. I think
mm.
that'd help people in their futures as well. To be
Yeah,
quite
that's what
honest.
Lee needs. He needs like one of those, like, not well, actually no, technically punching bag things, just placed in the corner of his room that's got Kai Havertz's face on it, and whenever it's just he sees Arsenal concede a goal, it's like, just straight right or straight left to him.
Yeah,
I
but
think
I'll
that's
bid in Skittles. I think that'll be the best bet. Offer him a bag of Skittles and should be all right. I think rather sign the dog than that fucking idiot.
mm.
To be quite honest, at least
Well,
the
that's
dog's
actually
actually going to do something.
I'll tell you what. I mean, Wolf's just put in an interesting comment. What if Arteta looks at Kai Havertz playing at left back for Germany and thinks, "Ooh,
Yeah, could do. Yeah,
ooh,
well, it'd be
let's
better
put
than
Zinchenko."
Zinchenko, wouldn't it?
Actually, that would be actually be hilarious if it actually figures out this like golden meal ticket with this Arsenal team. Where if you play Zinchenko in midfield and Kai Havertz turns out to be a sick left back,
Yeah,
he solves the woes of Arsenal right there and then. They go on to win a league title because of it.
yeah. I mean, that's mental, isn't it? Really. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, it is the worst. Do you think they'll get rid of him in January?
No.
No, I don't.
Clubs too politically on side with making Kai Havertz work. I think the Kai Havertz project is in full steam ahead at the moment. But
what do you think to that comment there?
I would actually. What I do is I make sure that there's no Kai Havertz advertisement on on my cartons of chocolate milk. If I see one fucking carton of chocolate milk in my house with Kai Havertz on it,
what if they sponsored you though, and you have to go drink chocolate milk sponsored by Kai Havertz?
Mate,
get a run, see how it goes.
I'd shut my YouTube channel down because it's just like my bread and butter about why I would do this for the sponsorship purposes would be dead and buried. I'd have to shut up shop, pack it up, and get off home.
Oh my days!
I'll have to go on to custard instead. I just have to have custard and just eat custard all the time. Then they'll probably go Kai Havertz with his new brand of custard. I'll be like, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah. If you want to be as good as Kai Havertz, drink chocolate milk. My name is Hot Fuzz 44. Like and subscribe.
that would cause me to lose most of my subs.
Oh, fucking hell. Right, I tell you what. We're going to call it there. So, Hot Fuzz, always a legend, always fun having a chat. And I can't wait for the football, man. I'm fucking buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing. So I can't wait for that. So big up your channel and call your channel out, matey.
Yeah. So Hot was 44 OG. If you type that in on YouTube, it should bring that up. And find me also on Instagram as well. Same username, same logos, and also quite easy to find if you just do the searches. Got the preview for the Everton game tomorrow night. I'll probably do that either tomorrow night or on Friday night. It's definitely going to be before the weekend, but expect that in the very, very near future. It's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be interesting to see what mood everybody else is in going into that game, because now it's all sort of focus on that. I think it's a little less about this takeover stuff, because international break, you focus on anything other than football.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, in the next coming days, we do get some good news that this takeover thing is finally finishing, and that we do get to start making change at long last. So yeah. Thank you for having me on the channel. It's always a pleasure. And
no
thanks to
problem,
everybody
mate.
in the chat.
No problem, anytime. And make sure you follow Arsenal History and more. Wolfang Division. Make sure you follow Tony Claude Gunner and Lee Gunner and all the rest. Really good really good content creators. So make sure you follow all of them. And Wolfgang says Choco29. That's a new one for Mr. Havertz. And other than that, guys, we're going to cut it short. I'm going to try and get on Jez's show, but I've got to have something to eat before I go on there. I'm not leaving him letting me starve like I did him the other week. But just one more thing. Right. So, we're going to end it and go. So, you know what, guys? Everybody in the chat, everyone that's been in here, this is episode 4 of View from the Cave. It's been absolutely awesome. Really, really enjoyed it. And love you.